Okay, here's my dust mask. Staying safe from coronavirus. I don't need to wear this, so I'm not really worried about the coronavirus. But anyway, this is the first live stream that I've ever done, and I'm super excited to try it out. I don't know if this is a proper format for a guitar build channel, because typically when I do a build, I have to speak for like 10, 15, 30 seconds about it, and then spend about 30 minutes doing the project, so there's a lot of editing involved. So today's a little different because it's more of a simple task. We're going to be installing the side marker dots on the top side of a guitar neck. I'm going to talk about this guitar neck a little bit before we get rolling. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is one of my guitars, and these are the side markers, side dots that I'm telling you about. See, like right there. See that little dot? We're going to be installing something like that on this guitar. And yeah, let's just get right into it. How about that? Okay, my name is Chad. This is the Luthier channel, or CMR Custom. If you're just joining me for the first time, thanks for watching, and go ahead and subscribe and like and all that normal stuff, ring the bell, ... Anyway, again, this is the first time I've done a live stream, and today we're continuing work on our 5-string fretless bass guitar. This is where we're at to date. It's just the neck. It's got the shape. It's going to be a body through, so down here you're going to have the body that gets glued to the end and over the top. And that's going to be a highly figured maple top, and it's going to be a gray burst, which means it starts out gray in the middle and fades to black on the outsides. If you watched last week, again, thank you, you saw where I showed you how I do the pearl inlay. And this is a request of the customer based off the tattoo that she has on her wrist. And it's a cat with a bass clef tail, and I did that in pearl, abalone pearl. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. Today, sticking with the theme of pearl inlay, we're going to go ahead and install the pearl markers on the side. The markers, so these are the only markers that this is the only marker that you're going to see on the face of the fretboard. This is the 12th fret marker, but there are no frets on a fretless bass, so this is generally where the 12th fret wire would be. Since there's no other markings on the front of the guitar, let me show you what I'm talking about. So all these markers serve as more than just decoration on a fretboard. It shows where the 3rd fret is, a 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th, 15, 17, 19, and 21st fret on a 22 fret guitar. This is actually, the bass is actually going to have 24 positions. But anyway, this is going to have no markings on the front of the guitar, but on, I guess, most, if not all, stringed instruments, you're going to have a marker down the top side so that the guitar player can look down and see where their relative hand position is, and know generally where the notes are. Because if you're on a fretless guitar with no markings, you kind of just have to know the guitar and how it feels to be precise. A fretless guitar is an interesting thing. Not everybody can play them, but you got to be pretty precise to hit the exact note position. Otherwise, you're going to get something a little off if you slightly miss the note position. I'll show you what I'm talking about. With frets, they're wires, so it's raised up. And like if I fret the C note here, it's going to put pressure against this fret right here. and it's going to give you the proper distance between the bridge and this fret wire to properly resonate the C note. But if I have a fretless bass, that point becomes the finger position in contact with the fretboard and the bridge to give you that proper resonating distance. So if I'm a little off, I'm going to have a shorter resonation or a longer resonation, and that could be done purposefully to make a song a little more interesting. You're talking about semitones at that point. So that's the advantage of a fretless instrument. So we are going to add the top fret markers. By the way, we are running a chat. If you have any questions, I see that we have some chats here. Yeah, go ahead and get your question in, and I'll take a moment to look down and at the computer. I'll take a minute to look down and try to answer those questions. I do have one question that I wanted to answer from a brand new subscriber. Basically, he says he has a student with a guitar that broke at the nut. This is the nut. It's the point that holds your strings at off the fretboard and holds the strings at a proper distance apart from each other. He's saying that the guitar evidently broke here. I don't know if it was completely snapped or what the scenario is, but generally that's a pretty impossible repair that you're going to be faced with. It can be done, no doubt, but here at the nut it's just the wood. Everywhere else on the neck you've got a fretboard, and you've also got a steel truss rod that runs down the middle. So there's no other reinforcement going on here at the nut. This is also the point of most torque, because when you have your guitar properly tuned, you've got over 1,000 pounds of pressure pulling up on your neck. And right here at the nut, you'll see it kind of bends down to this angle. I'll show you here on the bass guitar, where we did a scarf joint. You see the angle that goes like this? You've got a lot of pressure coming up on this point right here, so you're going to have to do a pretty amazing repair. So the bottom line is, depending on the guitar, it's probably cheaper just to buy a new neck or a new guitar. Some necks can't be replaced. Yeah, so there's the answer to that question. I don't know if that's a disappointment to you or if it's something that you already kind of knew. Okay, so let's get down to it. We are going to install the pearl inlay dots on the top side of the neck. Here is the abalone pearl material that I ordered from China. I'm going to lick it, make sure there's no coronavirus on it. So anyway, every piece is different. This is actually made from laminates of pearl. So it's a bunch of pearl that's melted or pressed together, and it's just a lot of layers. So if you were to peel it, you could peel it off like an onion. So we're going to cut out the little dots on a laser, but first we need to put the holes in the top side of the neck, and those have to be very precisely located. How do we do that? You can go online and find many different fret calculators. This one happens to be it's called Fret to Find, and it can be found at ekips.org. Basically, you put in all of your variables, such as scale length. This is a 34-inch scale. It means 34 inches from the point of the bridge to the nut. It gives you your total string length that does the resonating. And then you type in the number of frets you want it to have. You type in the width at the nut and the width at the bridge, and it spits back all kinds of data. I'm going to show you what I mean here. Look at this. This is data for each string. These are measurements that so this is just for the first string. Gives you different categories. Let me take a look at the chat real quick. So guitar that snapped. Only the wood was affected, and thank you, I knew, but I told the little girl, I would at least fix it so that you can have it. Okay. All right, so hopefully you can figure out some way to fix it. And hopefully it was a cheap guitar. It can be easily replaced. But thanks for the question. So back to this data here. Okay, it's intimidating, but you only need a couple key points, especially for this phase. You need to know the distance, and this is in inches, from the point of the nut to each fret spacing. We're going to have markers on the 3rd fret, 5th, 7th, 9th, 2 on the 12th, 1 on the 15th, 1 on the 17th, 19th, and 21st fret. That's 10 little dots that we're going to have to make. But first we're going to, I already measured out the, measured and marked out the points, so you don't have to watch me do each of that. But I need to now punch little pilot holes into where I want the drill bit to go in. We're just going to hand drill out little pockets for these dots that we're going to make. And I'm talking very thin, which is that thin. That's how deep, maybe a little shallower than we're actually going to go with the drill. Okay, so right now I'm just going to go ahead and punch little pilot holes for the drill bit to make the marks in the top of the fretboard. So bear with me. Yeah, let me point this down a little bit. Good, good. All right. Just a little tap. Okay, we're going to do this 10 times. Yep. And again, I already prepared in advance and made the marks. Okay. In the chat, go ahead and type in where you're watching from. I'd like to know. Okay, this is the 12th fret. You can see by the cat. And this gets 2 dots. Why is the 12th fret important? If you're a guitar player, you know this. 12th fret is the exact number of half steps in a note scale. Like, so there's 12 notes in an octave. An octave is when you start with a low note and you end on the same note that's the high note. There's 12 half steps in between. So you're talking about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but in some of those, in most of those, you've got a sharp or a flat. So there's 12 stops in between each octave. So the 12th fret marks when the octave starts over. So this is a 34 scale, 34-inch scale, which gives you 24 frets, and you've got 2 whole octaves on each string. And the 12th fret is always measured exactly at the middle of the scale length. So a 34-inch scale means you have a 17-inch 12th fret. All right, the other thing to keep in mind with a fretless bass is that your markers go right on the note position, whereas on a fretted instrument it goes in between the frets because the fret is the note position, but your dot marker is where you put your finger, which is between the 2 frets. So I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I'll demonstrate that. All right, one more here. Okay, so I've got 10 holes down the top. So as I was saying about the marker position, you see, okay, on the 5th fret, okay, you've got a dot here, and you see how that dot falls right between these 2 markers. So on the fretless bass, we're going to take that dot and we're going to move it to the fret position, because on a fretted instrument or a fretless instrument, you put your finger right on where the fretted note goes to get the proper intonation. Okay, Okay. Again, leave your chats if you got any. Let's see here. Now, so now we're at drilling. We're at the drilling stage. Okay, I'm using the 5/32 inch drill bit. That's just by choice. Not all side markers have to be circles, though. It could be like hashes or lines or diamonds. It's just the amount of work that's going to happen. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take out a little material from each marker, and that will be where, okay, I'm going slow. I don't want to be too aggressive. And this will be where the pearl dot goes. Okay. Pretty good. A little deeper. Let me take my safety glasses off while I run power tools. More deep. Looks good right there. Okay, that was the 21st fret. The 19th. That's pretty deep. See how that works. Let's see about that one. I use these brad point bits. There's a little spike at the end of the bit that helps with the guide with the punch hole I just made. $17. Okay, 15. That was a little too deep too. If I do go too deep, it's okay. I can just stack another piece of pearl on top of it. And these will get super glued in. That's pretty good. Right there. Pretty good. And here's a close-up of what's going on. See, I'm just punching these holes. There's the 2 on the 12th fret. Okay. Oh, I got a new subscriber. Welcome. Okay, now we're on the 9th. Making progress. A little deeper. Okay. 9th, 7th fret. Okay, 2 more. Turn the camera. After this, we're going to go over to the laser and cut out the circles, the dots. Ah! It's not good for the bit. That's a little deep. Okay, and finally the third. Okay. All right, so here we go. Little holes all along the top. These are about to get filled with pearl dots that I still need to cut out on the laser, which is behind me. Okay, yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. So now the laser's already set up to cut these pearl dots. So I'll go ahead and move the equipment over there. Just bear with me. Nice to have a couple cameras. Okay. Smooth, I know, right? Alright, so this is a CO2 laser. It's one of my favorite toys. I can do so much with it. Alright, so it uses fire to cut things. Okay. Now we'll put my glasses back on for this. Alright. Okay. Now this here is the material we're working with. And I'm just going to place it on top of this little piece of wood underneath the laser. And again, we're already set up. I'm going to cut 12 pieces. That's going to give us 2 extras. And then, so first thing I want to do is size up the cutting pattern with the material. So I'm going to run a test. It's going to trace the outline. And okay, so it's all within the pearl material. That's good. So next, what we're going to do is I have to turn on the blowers and the chiller and stuff that's needed to operate the laser. There's going to be a little bit of noise, so maybe turn your machine down or turn your computer down real quick. And this won't take long at all. Okay, don't blink or else you'll miss it. Just like that, we got 12 little pearl circles that we can punch out. Let me go turn off the machine here real quick. Okay, and we're back to the workpiece. Okay. So now, in case you want to know, this is organic material and it smells like organic material when you burn it. So we're going to go ahead and punch these little circles out. They are a little bit larger than the drill bit size we used, just because we want a good tight fit that we want to press through into the holes. Okay. Let's see if I can get a closer shot for you. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In case you want to know, each one of these little sheets of pearl, I think I paid about $12 each for it and ordered it from China. Okay. So, I just wanted to show you something real quick. Okay, this is my test piece. This is each the 5 32 inch drill bit hole. You'll see that this is the exact 5 32 cut. You see how loose it is there? I'm not sure how well that's showing up, but that's 5 32. And then I offset that by 0.2 millimeters on this one. It's pretty tight, but I can still pop it out pretty easy. And this one is offset by 0.3 millimeters, and it's in there real tight, and that's what I'm working with here. Now we just press them in. But first, I need super glue. And oh dear, where is the super glue? I had everything else prepared. I don't know where the super glue is. Sorry. Super glue, super. It's supposed to be right there. That's what happens when you don't put your toys away. Shoot. I really need the super glue. So where was the last? Sorry guys, I can't find the super glue. It's not where it's supposed to be. Huh. There it is, it's on the floor. Where it was supposed to be. Over where it was supposed to be. Okay, got the super glue, we are back in business. Alright, again, any chats out there, I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, so, it's good to have little tweezers for this. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple dabs of super glue in the holes. In case you're wondering, the fretboard material is from a company called Richlight, and it's actually a paper composite material that's laminated and pressed together. All right. And the first one. Wow, great. It's okay to have the super glue to squeeze out the sides, so I'll just end up scraping and sanding that off. Okay, next one. Oh yeah, perfect. And the next one. That's all it is. Alright. Hey, if you've been with me this whole time, from the beginning of the video, thank you. It's really nice to actually have people interested and engaged with what I'm doing. For some people, this could be really tedious and boring. But like I said earlier, this is just an experiment for a method of sharing content. I don't know if going live is the best solution for this, but like I said, this is just a quick task that I wanted to share with you. That one's a little crooked. Yeah, not bad. Okay, and now on the 12th fret. Alright. Alright. Any chats out there? Send me your chats, guys. Let's make this interactive. Dot, dot, dot. Okay. Take a look at these stripes on the maple. That's actually a flaw in the wood, but it's very valuable. It's a very valuable flaw. It's called quilted maple, or in this case called tiger stripe maple. I'm gluing my fingers together. Get in there, okay. And when it gets finished and polished, it gives it a nice holographic look. And it's highly coveted as a decorative piece of wood. And if you see the end product, because you're subscribing, hint hint, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and you'll be so impressed. If you don't already know. Wonder what that beep is behind me? That's my my internet connection, my internet line to the house. The backup battery is dead, and it's telling me that. So I just need to charge that up again or get a new one. The other nice thing about this pearl inlay as side marker dots is that it will catch the light, and when you're under stage lights or something, that stuff really stands out. Alright, looking good, looking good. Okay, we got 3 more dots to go. And once we're done with this, I'm going to get the card scraper out. Oh, it's too much glue for sure. I'm going to get the card scraper out, and we're going to make everything level. And we're going to have a nice looking set of top markers. There we go. And so this guitar is going to a friend of mine that I met when I was in Korea. And she's got a really cool band that plays every night for the soldiers that go out to the bar. And one day I said, I like the song Hysteria by Def Leppard. She didn't even know who Def Leppard was. I said, hey, learn that song for me and I'll build you a guitar. And you know what? The whole band came back the next night. Nailed it. One day I'll share that with you. Okay, we're going to give the glue a couple seconds to dry. I'm going to go over here and get my card scraper. Card scraper. So this is just a simple piece of metal. It's not sharp. I'm sure I can cut somebody with it, but it's not sharp, but it's flat, and you use it just like you say, it's a scraper. And it's one of my favorite finishing tools these days. Just basically like sandpaper, but different. Oh yeah. How do you like that? Now, if you stick with us to the next episode, I think next week, or I don't know, whenever I get to it, I'm going to start shaping the curvature of the neck. No, take that back. I'm going to start shaping the radius of the fretboard. It's going to have a 14-inch radius, and I'll just show you real quick what I'm talking about. Okay, so most every stringed instrument is not a flat fretboard. It's got a slight curve to the top of it, and I'll show you right here. Alright, so the fretboard has a curve all up and down here. Now this is a Paul Reed Smith. It's pretty flat, but it's not exactly flat. So how do I get that curve on here? With a sanding block. I 3D printed this one. This is a 14-inch radius. That means if this completed a full circle, then over here is about 14 inches, like that. And if the circle went all the way around, this is the radius of 14 inches. It's almost flat if you look at it. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to glue on a sheet of sandpaper and sand the top of the fretboard just like this. And at the end of that laborious process, I'm going to have a 14-inch radius curve on the face of this fretboard. And then after I do that, I'll start doing the shape of the back of the neck, and that'll be by hand with something called a spoke shave. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off, and stand by for your questions. I want to see if anybody has any questions out there. Oh yeah, that looks nice. You know what? I just pulled that whole dot out, so I'm gonna have to. What am I gonna do about that? I'm gonna re-drill this. See if I can dig it out. It was going so good too. No problem. Add another glue. This is why I cut extras. Let that one dry and come back to it. And again, I'm just scraping the top of the pearl dot off so it's level with the rest of the neck. There it is. This is the 5th fret. Oh, yeah. Looking good. Okay, 3rd fret. Oh, that one's a little low actually. I'm gonna glue a, I don't know. See, this one's a little too deep, just barely. I'm wary of this one. I'm going to glue another one on top of it and then scrape that off. Remember what I told you? This pearl stuff is actually laminated already. So really what I'm doing is I'm laminating laminate to laminate. Okay. I'll leave that one for later. I'll finish off the 9th fret. Alright, if you're interested in seeing how this guitar ends up as a final product, go ahead and follow along. There we go. Alright, I'll finish the 3rd fret later, but this is basically the final result. Side dot markers to help find where the notes are on a fretless bass. So tell me what you think, and I will see you next time.